everyone, merry morning here. I know it's been quite a while since you've seen a video from me, and I apologize for that, but I have been busy sewing like a mad woman doing a fashion show. So if you look back in my videos a bit, you'll be able to see some of the catwalk videos and see some of my fashions that I made. So, talking about perfect synchronicity, while I was working on that fashion show, there was this topic going back and forth between the pagan community and the Gothic community, and it had to do with witch fashion, which was fascinating to me to watch because I kind of have a foot in both worlds in that, you know, I am both things. So, just watching, you know, what people were thinking in both communities, it was odd. So, let's describe what witch fashion is. It's basically a style of Gothic clothing from, like, basically based off the New Goth aesthetic. So, anywhere from short fitted dresses in velvets, like stretch velvets, to long Stevie Nicks style dresses, shawls, occult jewelry, pagan jewelry, crystals, you know, headwear, the whole kind of thing. And basically what these girls are depicting is that they are a witch doing, you know, some sort of spell or curse. It's usually what the picture looks like is, you know, either they're out in the woods or they've got a candle sitting, you know, with their crystals. It's very stylized. It's very distinct. You just get on Instagram and type in witch fashion and you'll see a million pictures of this style because it's pretty popular right now. And what I found fascinating is basically I think both communities don't really understand, you know, each other in that how this style is represented, even though you're really meshing the two worlds basically. So within the pagan community, it seems to be, now lots of people have said, you know, do what you want to do. Fashion is a form of expression, you know, look how you want to look, do what you want to do, is what I basically heard from lots of people. But there also were quite a few people that, you know, put it into the category of being inauthentic and being materialistic is something I heard as well. And granted, both of those I can certainly see, looking through the pictures, you know, that would come to mind. But I just want to throw this out there, you know, for the girls that are on Instagram and they're posing in these pictures. Like, who are we to judge if they do have a practice? We don't really know that. So, it's hard to say. Now, granted, you know, the other point of view is that quite a few of them are just doing it for the looks, just doing it for fashion. And what I think the Gothic or the pagan community probably doesn't understand is that that is part of Gothic fashion. It's, you know, taking a look and making it shocking is kind of a thing. Like, it's not new that Goths would be wearing pagan symbols or occult symbols. That is not new at all. It's been around forever. I think what's new about it is that we have big companies now selling brands that are pre-made and you can just buy it. Whereas, you know, back in the 80s, 90s, you had to go looking for that. You had to go to, you know, import stores and try and find that kind of stuff. It wasn't just sitting around anyways. So nowadays you can go online and you can buy from companies like Killstar, Black Craft Cult, which is why I wear this shirt today. What's some other ones? Restyle. There's tons of them. There's tons of companies out there that are just churning out t-shirts and fashion and that, and you know, like Killstar is probably one of the most well-known one, because almost all their stuff recently has had occult symbols on it. Everything from, you know, upside down crosses to pentagrams to Baphomet to Onks to you name it. They didn't leave anybody out. Like every symbol you can think of, Luciferian, it's all on there. So I find that really interesting. Whereas like if you look back within Gothic fashion, you know, the Onks were very 80s. So think of the movie The Hunger with Peter Murphy and David Bowie, and you know, Neil Gaiman's Death character, she wore an Ankh. You know, moving into the 90s, you got more of like the rosaries, the upside down crosses, the pentagrams. Although we wore rosaries in the 80s as well. So rosaries with like spiked collars, that was still an 80s thing. Yeah, and then now you can just buy it anywhere. So it's not like it's different. It's not like you haven't seen it before. It's just, I think it's more in your face right now with Instagram and, you know, these big companies kind of cashing in on this right now. I think that's why we're seeing so much of it. But as for being a new trend, no. It's been a while. It's been around. Like, this is not new. And one of the reasons I think I would like to explain to those outside of the Gothic community, wondering why would these people want to wear occult symbols when, you know, they don't, you know, believe in that, or they don't practice it, or whatever. Well, the reason is a lot of these symbols basically represent, you know, a big fuck you to mainstream society. That's what it is. It's you know, that old yeah, doing whatever to shock people. I mean, that is part of Gothic fashion. Like, you know, shocking mainstream society is a big part of it. So, of course, they're going to put on symbols that people automatically, you know, kind of have this cringe effect to it. Like, if I walk around with my pentagram, I get it all the time. You know, people kind of looking at it like, so that's been around for a while. That's nothing new. But, you know, as for, you know, the pagan side of it, is it authentic? Is it, you know, is it, like, are you glamorizing these symbols that mean something to people that follow that path? Absolutely. That's where it's kind of a gray area. There are certain symbols I personally don't wear, just because, you know, I don't follow that faith, and because I'm pagan, I'm not going to wear that particular faith's, you know, symbol. You know, in that way, I do respect it, but that's just me personally. There's lots of goths that do not follow that. They'll just wear whatever, and they don't care. One good example I can bring up was I met this young girl, and she had a big tattoo that had a great big pentagram on it, on the front here, pentacle on the front. And she had wings, and it was a beautiful tattoo. And I remember asking her, oh, are you pagan? You know, what path do you follow? She had no idea what I was talking about. Like, literally had nothing to do with paganism, witchcraft, none of it. I would put her under the, you know, the atheist category. She wasn't Christian, but she didn't follow any kind of pagan path either. So I think that's where there's a bit of a disconnect. Just because they're wearing the symbols does not necessarily mean that they follow it, which I think those within the pagan community would find a little offensive and a little, like, I don't know, off-putting, and makes it seem like it's frivolous, which I totally understand, where they're coming from. And now for me personally, like I say, I watch which symbols I wear. I don't wear everything. And like this is the one that, my pentagram that I wear all the time. And I also buy a lot of things that are handmade by local people that actually are in the pagan community. So not only do I want to support artists, but I want to support pagan artists. So this necklace was made by a company called Gnostic here in Ontario. Beautiful. It's made from bone, handmade. The sweater I am wearing is one of my own. It has moons on it. So you can see I have a big triple goddess on the back too. Can't really see that. And this is a t-shirt from Black Craft Cult that I wear sometimes. And this would be one of those companies that, everybody kind of has the issue with. But for me, I think it's fun. I wear this stuff all the time. I wear kitschy stuff that has to do with the Gothic community. I wear kitschy stuff that has to do with the pagan community. I don't know. Fashion is fashion to me. It's just fun. The way I put it down is that we all dress in costume. Whether you wear jeans and a t-shirt every day, or you choose to wear big Gothic dresses, or you choose to wear, t-shirts that say witches do it better. All of it is a costume, and it portrays something about you to the public. So I think it comes down to, what do you want to portray? Do you want to portray yourself as, the Gothic queen, or do you want to just blend in by wearing t-shirts and jeans and that kind of thing? Either one is fine. You can do both. But don't mistake just wearing t-shirts and jeans as not a choice. Because to me, that is a choice. You've made a choice to blend in with society and not be alternative. But that's another topic. Yeah, so as far as like materialism within this fashion trend, that's a good point, because a lot of these companies are very expensive, and they're made overseas. They're not handmade. They are, stamped out, they make a ton of money off the Gothic community. They don't really give back to the Gothic community much. And you see some of the bigger YouTubers, Instagram people, whatever, and they've got all Killstar on, or they've got all Restyle, or what's another one? I don't know. I can't think of all the name brands. Now, I'm not saying I don't buy them, because I certainly do. But it's not realistic to most people to be able to buy those kind of name brands on a regular basis. It'd be very expensive to, make a wardrobe out of Killstar or something, because that's just not realistic. Like, it's not real life goth. I would say most people that I know do not dress like that in real life. That's just something you see on the internet. I think it's kind of this weird anomaly of this goth aesthetic that is perfected and put on the internet. Now, some of those people, they really dress like that every day. That's what they look like. I'm not saying they're being inauthentic, but it's a high standard, and then you have these young girls that think they need to look like that all the time. They need to have their makeup perfectly done. They need to have the Kill Star outfit to you know, go to school. Yeah, it's not practical. It's just not practical. You know, real life is more, it takes you a long time to curate a beautiful Gothic wardrobe. It takes a long time and a lot of money. So being able to just buy it off a website like that is not realistic. And the same thing that, you know, has to do with paganism. Like, this is where they cross over. So I find that, you know, this is what I found fascinating about this whole conversation, is that within the pagan community as well, they say the same thing. You know, don't think that having pretty tools is, you know, your practice. Like having, you know, the cards and the clothes and the crystals are not what witchcraft is about. And you'd love to go and buy, you know, all the pretty t-shirts and all the pretty crystals and all the tarot and all of that, which I love. I'm not saying I don't. But that is, you know, materialistic in a way, because you literally don't need any of that to do a regular practice. So that's where both worlds kind of meet, in that what you see on Instagram is not necessarily the real world and how people live or act out in the real world. And I find that fascinating. And here I was, you know, sewing away, getting ready for this fashion show, making items that had occult symbols on them. I see this conversation going back and forth about witch fashion. And I'm just like, wow, that's like really synchronistic right there. But I was too busy. I couldn't really join in at the time. You know, now this show's over, I have a little bit more time to make videos. So you might hear a little bit more from me now. But I thought I would weigh in on the topic, since I find it kind of near and dear to my heart. I love to make handmade fashion that has occult symbols on it. It is one of my things. I also make the real thing as far as the robes and the cloaks and all of that. They're on my Etsy shop, so you can get the real thing as well. It's not all about pretend. You know, some of the fashion shoots that you see on Instagram, sure, that's all staged, and those models are done up with their hair beautiful, and you know, they've got the lighting, and they're wearing a big cloak, and you know, they're out in the woods, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful to look at. Like, I love that my Instagram is full of this kind of fashion, because I'm just living it up. I'm just like, yes, give me more, give me more. And this is where I fall into the fashion is art category. Like, I love seeing it. Now, is that real? Are you going to go off to ritual wearing, you know, this giant cloak that made of wool in the middle of summer? Probably not. So, you know, just a dose of, you know, reality. When you look at those pictures, just know that they're staged, and, you know, not all of it's real. But, you know, there could also be, on the other hand, some people that really are doing that. So you never know. Anyways, this was fun. If you like this video, like and subscribe. Thanks. Bye now.